Bonjour and bienvenue à la ville de Montréal, dans la belle province de Quebec. And today we are going for a little exploratory adventure around the city of Montreal by bike. So I've heard that Montreal is one of the best cities in Canada, maybe North America, for cycling. And today we are going to find out if that is the case. They also have a great bike sharing system as well, one of the first in North America actually. So we're going to be testing that out and seeing how it is.
It's very straightforward to use the bike sharing service. You simply add your credit card into the machine. It will then print you off a ticket with a code, which you add into the bike, and you're off. They also have a very convenient app you can download on your phone. Electric bikes are also available if you'd prefer one.
So Montreal is now trying to put in a lot more bike paths throughout the city. Just make it a little bit easier to get around. It definitely shows here. Now everywhere in the city isn't as nice as this, where you get these super divided bike paths, very wide, which are just great for getting around the city. But the places that you do, once you get used to the city, I'm sure they're fantastic. But it is a big city, so we're only going to be really exploring a small portion of the downtown area. Right now we're going along the St. Lawrence River, the historic St. Lawrence River that first brought the first European settlers to this region, and used to be a very major shipping center. So the bike sharing isn't too expensive. It's around 10 cents every minute. So you're looking at about $6 an hour to rent a bike. So obviously mostly meant for small trips, but if you're just going for a very short trip around the city, it's great because you can just rent it for 10-15 minutes at a time and get where you need to go. Right now we're kind of in old Montreal now, very historic area. You see a lot of older architecture here. Now, the only problem with these bikes is they do get pretty shaky. Obviously, it depends on the bike you get, but over bumpier roads, it can get pretty shaky. It does have this nice carrying area as well, which is great for carrying, say, the famous Montreal bagels right here in front of your bike. They also aren't the fastest bikes, but I'm sure they purposely make sure they're not too fast, so the people that don't know how to bike don't hurt themselves quite as bad. But obviously that only goes so far. Now, if you are unaware, Montreal is actually still the second largest city in Canada. So when cities get this large, they tend to kind of prioritize bikes. Montreal used to have a lot of 4 and 6 lane highways that went all over the city. There were almost no bike paths, and now they're starting to turn them into 2 and 4 lane highways with bike paths, which I think is great, but obviously it does make traffic a little bit worse in the city. So as I mentioned earlier, Montreal was one of the first cities to do a bike sharing program, and I'd say it was a pretty big success. It certainly is the sort of system where just adds a lot of convenience to the city for people like myself that are just visiting, and for locals that, you know, maybe go out, maybe they have a bike or they go out and need to get somewhere really quickly. They can just rent the bike and off they go. One of the tricky things about really testing if this city is one of the best in Canada for cycling is I don't really know my way around the city yet. My first time here. I've also heard that, oh, that was the wrong gear. Also heard that Ottawa is one of the best cities in Canada, and I actually live in Ottawa, so I will be kind of comparing the two. Oh, there's another bike path right here. Also heard Calgary's pretty good as well, but unfortunately Calgary's pretty far away, so a little bit harder to test. That was funny though. One of the patios that all the restaurants have now is right in the middle of the bike path, so that's not ideal, but overall it does have a pretty good network of bike paths. But obviously not knowing your way around the city, it's a little hard to initially kind of say whether it's the best in Canada, but so far it's pretty good. And Ottawa does not have a bike share system. I don't know if Calgary does, but I feel like they kind of need that at this point. Apparently Ottawa used to have one, but no longer, unfortunately. Now, personally, I feel like bike sharing programs are much more sustainable than, you know, these scooter rentals that they now have in pretty much every city. And I get why they're popular. They're not a workout, they're easy to use, and they go pretty fast, but obviously a lot of people are getting hurt with those scooters at the moment, so they're starting to be rethought as a meaningful option in modern cities. But bikes are great because I mean, most everyone knows how to ride a bike, at least a little bit, so it's a little bit less dangerous to have people on bikes than those electric scooters. Now Montreal, like most modern North American cities, is still very car-centric, but at least they're moving in the right direction now to kind of make it more of a mixed-use city, where it's not all just about cars getting to where they need to be and having giant parking areas for cars and all that. It's just not an efficient way for the majority of people to get around in the city. We have a nice loud bell on these bikes too, so always good to have. Every bike needs one. They have some big hills in Montreal. They're not extremely steep to start out, but you basically just kind of stop pedaling and just cruise. See, I'm not even pedaling right now. I'm going almost as fast as all the cars. Big hill. Woo! And when you're finished using the bike for your trip, you simply find one of these stations. And put the bike right back and you're good. And there you have it. So my first impressions as far as what biking in Montreal is like is pretty good. Right now there is a lot of construction though, so it's a bit of a minefield trying to navigate, but overall it is nice that the city does prioritize cycling quite a bit now, and you can get around pretty quickly, and very convenient obviously with the bike sharing as well. So other than that, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Do make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll have a follow-up video coming soon where I compare what cycling in Ottawa is like